Welcome back to Tranquility du Jour, nourishing conversations about living a full and meaningful life with doses of tranquility. This is episode 559. I'm your host, Kimberly Wilson, bringing you tranquility through this podcast since 2005. And this month is actually I always have to do the math. I believe it is our 16-year anniversary. So a big thank you to, I know some of you listeners have been around since the very beginning. And some of you who have even joined more recently have gone back and listened to all the past episodes. So a big thank you. It's an honor to be here with you. So in this week's edition, I am going to share the final 3 pieces of my ideal self-care checklist. And it's a focus on meditation, loving connection, and staying hydrated. And of course, this comes from my latest book, Year of Tranquility, which you can find at kimberlywilson.com/YOT. And you get a bunch of bonuses for anyone who's interested in grabbing this book. And even though it is kind of like a year-long planner of sorts, you can start at any time. And this month is all about mindfulness. And before we dive in, I want to say a big thank you to those of you who joined me last night for TDJ Live. It's always a treat to be with you live and, to be able to engage and kind of hear what your intentions are, what you're struggling with, what you're hoping for. So thank you for joining from Japan, the UK, Canada, and across the US, and freaking Australia. So it was a real treat to be with everyone. Now, in case you missed us and would like to get the replay, there's a link in the show notes, which can be found at kimberlywilson.com/559. And the live event is always free. And the replay is $10 to benefit Pigs and Pugs Project, which is a nonprofit, my nonprofit, and we have a mission of making the lives of pigs and pugs happier and healthier. We donate to pig sanctuaries and pug rescues in need, and let's be honest, they're all in need. And so it's a fun mission. I appreciate you supporting it. Now, heads up that the next gathering that we have is on October 16th. It's a Saturday, and it is the final virtual retreat of 2021. And would love to have you join me if you would like to invest in 3 hours of mindful connection, really. So, and whenever I say that, I think of mindful connection with yourself, right? So we begin typically with either some movement, getting centered in yoga, or we begin with reflection. So that shifts back and forth. We always end with creativity. We also have an action plan as we think about how we want to conclude 2021 and create an action plan around that and through a creative medium of art journaling. So would love to have you if you're available and interested. And if you aren't free, on October 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, you can still join us and drop in for a portion of it or simply get the replay, which will come to everyone who has signed up. Also, the TDJ Passholder Collective is an offering that I do annually, and for 2022, I'll be opening up this for probably November, December, and this will give you access to everything that's happening in 2022. So rather than joining things a la carte, you just get like all the goods plus a lot of private options also. So private events. So anyway, there is a link in the show notes to join the waitlist. Would love to have you with us. And a reminder to hit subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss an episode of Tranquility du Jour. And then also for anyone who's new, a big welcome. And you can find out more at kimberlywilson.com/new. All right, let's chat meditation. All right, so this is the finale of the 4-part series that I've been doing on the ideal self-care checklist. Now, the thing I want to mention is, although there are 15 tranquility tools, please know that a lot of these you're already doing. right from like mindful eating. Okay, we're already eating. Can we do it mindfully? One of the pieces from today is staying hydrated. All right, so we're already drinking. Can we do it in a more mindful way? Kind of the warm bath. We're already bathing. Can we make it more of an experience? So this is not to add more to your to-do list because let's be honest, I know that they are overflowing and, we don't want self-care to become yet another to-do. But there's a checklist in the show notes that you can download and kind of track. How is your self-care? How's your self-talk? We're talking to ourselves constantly throughout the day and just noticing, what are we saying? How's it going? How's it feeling? All right, so the last three again are meditation, loving connection, and staying hydrated. So meditation is a practice of, as we know, of training the mind to focus while observing your thoughts without judgment. So it's like a cloud that's floating by that we notice, but we don't kind of latch onto. We just notice it passing by and we let it go. And so meditation's very similar, right? We notice what's happening, but we don't necessarily have to go down the rabbit hole with it. So sitting tall or lying down and close your eyes if that's comfortable for you and bring your attention to the breath moving in and out of your body. It's that simple. So inhale deeply through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Take a few more rounds of this. And then observe those thoughts. Where does the mind kind of wander off to? And as you notice it wandering, can you bring it back to this breath, to this moment, to this body? So it's that simple. Okay, simple, but not easy, right? So try to begin or end your day with a minute of deep breathing while noticing your bodily sensations, thoughts, and feelings. Notice an increase in self-awareness and inner peace. And the reason I say deep breathing is because the breath can be a wonderful tool to stay mindful in the moment. Now, so can also checking in with your body and observing. What are you noticing kind of physically? Are you feeling heat or coolness, tightness, openness, right? So these are two tools we always have with us, our breath and our body. So what would it be like to actually stay connected to those really consciously for at least a minute a day? So next is loving connection. So this is something I brought up on TDJ Live last night that I felt like at the beginning of the pandemic, we were really good at this, right? Like having all these Zoom family calls and FaceTimes with our friends and, things along those lines. And I feel like that's waned. And I mean, now because we can see a lot of people in person, right? Which is lovely, but that reaching out has faded, I feel like, to a degree. And some of it's probably intentional. And then others, it's like we just have maybe fallen out of the habit. It's easy to do. And yet I also want to encourage you to think about quality over quantity, right? So we're not looking for tons of, connections, even though if you have that and you love that, that's great. But it's more about finding ones that really resonate with you. So in making time and space for them, if they're far away, call, text, or email them regularly. If they're local or will be in town, make a date to have lunch or dinner with a friend. Reach out to someone you like but haven't seen in a while. Create a support system with those who share your interests and your values. Maybe even somebody who you've met through the Tranquility du Jour community, checking in with them. How are things going? Do you want to be accountability buddies? Do you want to stay connected and, try to follow this self-care checklist, or try to have 1 minute of meditation a day, or to stay connected to our breath, or to just make sure that we're keeping a loving connection by staying in touch. Joining a support group also for people who struggle with the same things you do can also be a really helpful network. And then for those in romantic relationships, check out John Gottman's 6 Magic Hours. You can just Google it and find more about that. But these are the 6 hours that he recommends that we set aside for our relationship weekly. Now we have 168 hours a week, so 6 hours doesn't necessarily seem like too much, but check it out. And that might appeal to you, because I know for many people who have been together a lot during the pandemic, juggling pets, juggling kids, juggling each other, it's taken a toll on some relationships. So what can you do to reconnect? Now, last but not least is staying hydrated. So making sure that you are drinking enough water. I did a workshop last week for a nonprofit, and one girl held up her water bottle and it was 50 ounces. And she was like, I drink like 3 of these a day. And I was like, that is amazing. And sometimes we don't know how much we're drinking because we just kind of keep refilling our water bottle, which is lovely. But if there's a way for you to track it to make sure you're getting ample hydration, because sometimes, we think we're hungry, but we're really dehydrated, or we think we have a headache, which we do, but we're actually dehydrated, right? So it can lead to so many challenges. And sometimes we just don't think about drinking our water. So the good news is it helps energy levels, which I'm sure we could all use a little dose of, enhances our mood and brain function, prevents headaches, and that comes from experience as somebody who has migraines, which are really unpleasant, helps to prevent kidney stones, and helps with weight loss. So the idea behind that is drinking water half an hour before meals can help you feel more full. At least that's what they say, right? So the recommended amount, of course, is 8 8-ounce glasses, and it can be helpful to track this consumption, again, so that okay, this water bottle is 30 ounces. Okay, I need to have 2 of these, or, whatever it is. The other thing is to consider toting a water bottle with you everywhere. Now, I even sleep with one beside my bed. So I tend to take it everywhere I go. And if I don't have it, I get a little anxious. So clearly I have an attachment disorder to my water bottle. But for you, what is it? What would allow you to make sure that you are staying hydrated and staying connected to nourishing your bodily systems, right? It's so important. So that wraps up the last 3 of the 15 self-care tools / healthy habits is another thing I call them. Now, there again is a link in the show notes to the self-care checklist and to Year of Tranquility, the book where you will find this in, and you'll find essays about each of these. Then also over in the show notes, you also find a link to sign up for Love Notes, which are invites, inspiration, and more. Browse my 6 books. So besides Year of Tranquility, there are quite a few more. And I also have a planner, which is called the Day Book. Ways to follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then, of course, if you have a moment to share a review of this show on Apple Podcasts or any of my books on Amazon or Goodreads, I would be so grateful. All right. Well, wishing you a delightful week ahead. Thank you again for tuning in and joining me last night for TDJ Live, the last one of the year. And again, if you weren't able to, there's a link in the show notes to download the replay. All right. Have a great week. And thanks again for being here. Namaste.